All right, all right, all right. It is exactly 7:01. I'm actually 1 minute behind, which is, I know, crazy, right? I don't like to be late. I'm late because I wasn't prepared. So, don't be laughing at me over there, girl. Do not be laughing at
It's
me.
all good. It's all
So
good.
let me
It
get
is Thirsty Thursday. You know, what you been drinking?
Yeah, obviously I started drinking way too early. But for everybody, good evening. Welcome to the WSBI, your resource for success, and our new podcast, Unveiled, where all our conversations are safe, revealing, and uncuffed. And of course, I need to mention this very quickly. Tonight's show is partnered with ADP, the go-to place to better build and manage your business. And if you don't know who I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, President and CEO of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, and award-winning author. And of course, I have my other lovely host, Miss Natalie Montez, who is the owner of dvinyobymontez. And as you already heard, she's talking about me over here. Okay, you guys.
Hey.
You know.
Oh my goodness. Thank you, Kimberly. So glad to be here with you again. I know. I can't help it. You teed it up for me, girl.
You're right. Because I call myself being organized and in order and forgot, it's been so long since I've done a live show. I mean, it's crazy now that I think about it. It has been probably at least a year or more, maybe 2 years. So this is, another new, yeah. I mean, I had really kind of stepped away from the live because it was inconvenient for some people. And, we started doing a lot of the recordings and actually was able to get more episodes in. And so sometimes, it's better to do that, but to have that live experience is just the most wonderful thing to be able to do. And, for those who don't know as well, we have this new platform that we're trying, this new show, and we really have got people who have some true interest in what we're doing. And so I'm excited about tonight. I don't want to dive just right into it just yet, because I do want everybody to realize that you can definitely call us, and I'm going to give you that number if you have any questions about our conversation tonight, or you want to talk to our special guest that we will bring on here in a second. I'm going to give you the number. It's 703-565-2473. One thing I need you all to realize, if you can't all get on at one time, so just be patient with us. If I do not answer the call the first time, call back again, and I'll even let you know. I've got, we got a caller on, so you have to wait in line to ask those questions if you have any with our special guest tonight. But, again, like I said, before we get started, tell me how your day has been. Natalie, we got to have some fun before we dive into this.
I know. Well, one thing I want to say is that, going live, doing a live show definitely brings a whole different vibe and energy. So it is good to mix it up a little bit. When you're doing recordings, it can get monotonous sometimes because you're doing the same routine. And when you're live, you're just you have this extra vigor, about your energy. So I do love that. And I'm excited about this show. But my day has been crazy as usual. Single mom here, running after all these little cherubs of mine and working full time. So I was thankful to be working from home. And so since we're getting ready for Richmond trip tomorrow, my daughter's theater conference with her school, it's just been one of those crazy days, but I feel productive. I feel energized. I feel good. Going into the weekend. Energized. I get to start my weekend tomorrow.
But look, you're the Energizer Bunny, okay? You're always energized.
I know. People are do you sleep? How do you do this?
Yeah, exactly. But we were talking. It was I don't have to do those things anymore, and it's just sometimes I always try to figure out how I did it. Because back in the day when I was, married and I had a son, and my ex, he had a son, and then we was raising his niece. I had 3 teenagers, a year apart in the house. I was crazy. Okay. So I was
oh my gosh.
To have silence in my life, I love every minute of it.
Yeah, I don't know what that's like, but
no, but one day you will experience
looking forward
it.
To it. Yeah, exactly. I'm looking forward to it. That's for sure. Exactly. I'll let you know on an Unveiled podcast down the road.
Yeah, because you're going to have a whole lot to reveal. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, that'll be another whole conversation.
One of these days, I'm just going to hang up and call in as an anonymous caller. And you're going to be like, I know your voice, chick.
Oh
Get back
my
on the
gosh. That would be hilarious to say the least. Okay. But
Oh man.
oh, but anyways, I guess, we need to we can get to our serious side now. So
Yes, yes,
we
yes.
we have a very cool guy that's, hanging on the line and who wants to talk to us tonight. So that's first of all, that was exciting for me because I'm like, oh, somebody else is interested and really wants to talk.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yes.
I will say I do know this individual. I've known him for several years. He is a phenomenal individual. I will tell you now, he is a chef and can cook like hell. So that part I've been able to experience as well. But there's another whole side of him that he wants to share and wants to have a great discussion tonight with us and with the listeners. And I really hope that people are open to this conversation tonight and that they are truly listening. And the key is, if you have questions, again, there's something you have, that you desire and something on your heart and you need to talk, you need to call us tonight. Again, the number is 703-565-2473. So I'm going to let you introduce and bring him on.
All right. Well, this is going to be amazing. I'm so excited, for our callers, our listeners, for someone who's willing to share their story and to connect with others. If you can participate in this conversation and share bits and pieces of your story with this awesome guest, and, we look forward to hearing from you. But without further ado, Chris, we welcome you on the show. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourselves. We're so excited to have you here.
Well, thank you all for letting me come on your all's podcast, but please don't stop on my account because I'm just excited to listen to other people talk about their day and what's coming up, because I feel like I have nothing going on now.
Oh my gosh.
I will tell you, like, going down to Richmond is probably like the best weekend for it, because after this weekend it's like, and we're back to normal Virginia weather. Welcome to Mother Winter. So there we go.
I know.
Yes.
We got like an anomaly weekend. I'm so excited.
It's crazy. Yeah, but it's going to be really warm. So, this is definitely a great time to be able to get out and travel and enjoy it, because after the weekend, the bomb drops again. So, back
pretty
down
much
to the cold weather.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And for the foreseeable future, winter is coming.
I know. It's like, oh my
good
God.
Good for some of the people who like the cold weather now. So.
Yeah. No. I don't miss no snow. I don't care if I ever see it again. I'm good. So.
Yeah.
So I guess my name's Chris. I'm now, I guess, official resident of the Commonwealth of Virginia. I've been here for about 10 years. Prior to my life now as a personal chef and around the DMV, I served in the United States Army for 20 years, stationed somewhat all over the world. I mean, I got to go visit, nice and unusual places called Iraq and Afghanistan a couple times here and there. Total of 6. I've been to Germany, stationed there for a few years, and then Fort Riley, Kansas, as well as Fort Huachuca, Arizona, formerly known as Fort Bragg, North Carolina, but we won't talk about that. And then, my last duty station was here in Virginia, at Fort Belvoir, where I was a company first sergeant, as well as a battalion operations sergeant and a platoon sergeant for the Wounded Warrior Transition Battalion at Fort Belvoir.
Wow.
Nice.
Yes. Yeah, you have
That's already an amazing story.
Right, it is.
I can relate to that on the very, very, very skimmed surface where I also served. But,
right.
I'm sure that our stories, the fork in the road stops there. So I can't wait to hear what you have to unveil for us.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was when you guys were talking about your kids and everything, I had a flashback of like being in the Army and thinking about my soldiers. And that's kind of like what brought me here today, is because, no matter what, they're always in the background. Like, even as old as they get, we're always be in the background.
Mm-hmm.
So shoot back a couple weeks ago, just out of the blue, one of my old soldiers. If you hear me call him Joe or Jane, it's not a derogatory term. It's a term of endearment towards what we call our soldiers. This Joe of mine, he messaged me on Facebook. He's like, "Can you talk?" And I was like, "Oh, I mean, is everything okay?" He said, "Nope, I'm having a hard time." I was like, all right, let's, kind of like, semi-shave the beard off and put the, platoon sergeant daddy hat back on, and we get to talking. He's talking to me and spilling his guts about how he feels about everything. And the one thing that dawned on me is that this is almost 10 plus years after the fact of us going to a combat zone. So,
wow.
So the big story behind it is that I did 2 tours of Iraq and 4 to Afghanistan. He was kind of in a similar situation where he did 1 and 1, back-to-back tours, Iraq and then Afghanistan. And granted, there's a difference somewhat of having an old timer where you're in 20 years and you do this many combat tours. Yeah, some things come to the surface and you're like, wow, you could. There is something wrong. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But him only having done 2 tours and then being in for 4 years, and I had to kind of like sit back and think about it myself, and I explained to him, I was like, listen, there is no difference in doing 2 tours and 4 years in the Army versus 20 years and 6 tours in the Army. The hardest part with us going to a combat zone or deploying anywhere in the world, excuse me, is we essentially, our lives are stripped from us. So like when we get onto an aircraft, or when we, take off and we're, 30,000 feet in the air going to land across the pond, it's like our whole world's changed. And I say that like I'm very familiar with that type of wording, and that's because I actually said that to a platoon, one of my platoons. We had my last deployment. I had a very young set of platoon soldiers in the platoon, and a lot of them were like, "Yeah, we're going to go to Afghanistan. We're going to do right by America. We're going to do this, do that, do this, do that." And I was like, "That's not what this is about, man." And it took me a while to figure that out. I sat them down and I said, "Listen, you are essentially going to do something that you volunteered for, but you're stepping onto an aircraft or a boat or whatever. And, if you're in the Navy, you're on a boat. If you're in the Marine Corps, you're on a boat, whatever. So you're leaving your life behind. You're asking people to like, hey, you're in charge while I'm gone. Now I'm going to take your sons and daughters or your husbands and wives, and we're going to protect them." And that's how I felt. So it was a very big burden when you started at the age of 22, 23 until you're like 30 something years old. At one point being 30, at one point I think I was like 36 and I was the oldest one in the platoon. I was like, I'm an old man.
Wow.
My knees hurt, my back hurt, and I got lit. Yeah. I mean, you're listening, you have 40 personalities and you're talking to everyone, and you're trying to adapt to all those personalities.
Right.
But so fast forward, and I will tell you, I was one of those veterans where I thought there was nothing wrong. And when I say that, I was just like every day, it's like, whatever, I'm angry. I drink a lot. I don't sleep much, all sorts of things. 100%, 100,000 miles an hour, G.I. Joe go. And then things started, more deployments started to come up, and then it's just like, oh, it's a normal thing. This is a normal, everyday way of life. This is how people live. So when I finally got to a point where it's like, okay, so my Army career is starting to slow down, but more and more things are starting to come up to the surface. And yeah, exactly. So what I've never told a lot of people, and I know it's going to be really weird because technically how I see this, there's only 2 people here, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot more listening. Hi, listeners. So when I started to have stuff come up to the surface, I was in and out of mental health. But the Army's mental health back then was just nothing more than like, go talk to a social worker. And the social worker was asking the standard question: how do you feel? Are you okay? Do you feel like you're going to commit suicide? Do you feel like you're going to hurt somebody? Are you drinking too much?
Yeah.
There's nobody really communicating with you. Nobody like engaged. So, so I fast forwarded to 2016. You're at Fort Belvoir. I'm just at the rock bottom. Like, I am getting ready to do real bad things to myself. And I had one day where I was like, you know what? I don't feel like this anymore. And I don't know why or what, but I was getting ready to literally pull the trigger on myself in my unit. And I said, and I'm like, at that point, I was like, I am so disgusted with myself right now. Like, why am I going to do this? What is going on with me? So I walked out to my vehicle, I put my weapon in my truck, and I walked over to behavioral health, and I went up there, and I was like, I would like to talk to someone. Just sat there for probably about a good hour, get to fill out some paperwork that you get to fill out. And this lady walks out. She is like, you Chavez? I was like, yes, ma'am. She's like, come with me. And I distinctly remember this doctor, because she had a pair of Steeler football boots on. And I was like, what is wrong with this lady? I was like, who roots for the Steelers anymore? But anyways, we won't get it. So we walk into her office, and for the first 6 weeks, all we talked about was football. That's how we carried on our conversation. Wow. And then on the seventh week, she's like, so why are you here? And I told her, and we went into it. So fast forward a year, I think, about 2017, almost ready when I'm getting ready to retire from the Army. I was having a bad day, having a bad moment, still trying to deal with like everything, like how it made me feel, how it made me operate on a day-to-day basis. And there was a huge lightning storm, and I couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I don't know what the heck I'm going to do. So the next day, surprised, like this was like one of those moments where it was like, wow, this could not have happened at a better moment. I went to my appointment. Her and I had been talking for close to 6 months about doing prolonged virtual reality exposure therapy. So basically what this is you do everything that you see like on those Samsung commercials where they put the goggles on your face. And you sit in a chair and it vibrates. You basically control what's going on in your field of focus, and they have smells that are initiated based off of what you see and what's going on. So I was like, I need help. Like I need to do this. She's like, okay. Yeah. When do you want to start? I was like, whenever. And we talked about it. She's like, this is the most horrific thing you will ever experience. I was like, I've been through that 6 times. Like, basically lost my life 6 times. Had to start everything over. So I'm at the bottom, and I will start climbing back up. She goes, okay, we'll start next week. I was like, all right, cool. But the protocol behind that was you have to take this medicine to help you relax, so on and so forth. And if anybody knows me, I'm opposed to taking Hall's cough drops. I can't stand it. Wow. Don't take any medicine. So first day of this, I walk in and I look at this chair. I was like, I think I've seen this chair like about 20 years ago. Like that chair is old. It's on this wooden box that has carpet on it. I was like, how bad can this be? I lasted 15 minutes my first round. Every session is supposed to be 90 minutes. I was like, oh my God. And for the next 2 hours, it gets better. Don't worry. For the next 2 hours, excuse So for the next 2 hours, the whole staff that was there followed me around the hospital. They wouldn't let me leave. They called security because if I had an episode, they had to be able to control it. I was like, okay, cool.
Wow.
Because part of the 90-minute session was to bring you down and discuss everything that happened. So 4 weeks later, I'm sitting there in this room, and I was like, I need people to understand what's happening. So I asked my wife to come, and I said, want you to see what's going on. And this was like the second or third session where they recorded it, and they were actually using it to show the students in the hospital. So we get going, everything happens, and get done, and next thing I know, I was like, okay, I'm good. And I have never seen so many people in a room so white. Like not just white, like they are pale white, scared to death. And I was like, what happened? And then I start to rub my chest, and I was like, why am I wet? What is going on? I was like, this is crazy. So I actually went back, subconscious took over, and relived a moment of an ambush that myself and my platoon was in 2000. Did all the radio calls, everything.
Wow.
People were like, wow, what the heck happened? So I was like, okay, cool. So part of what they do tell you in the beginning is like part of your homework is to take home and listen or watch the videos. So because it's kind of like desensitizing you. So you do that for about 12 weeks.
Okay.
And if you guys need me to stop, please let me know.
No, I'm just so intrigued right now. Yeah.
I get going on a roll here. So 2017 comes, I retire out of the Army, and I'm in shock because, if anybody who's been, getting ready to retire out of the Army, the year that you get ready to retire out of the Army, for some people, it's absolutely horrible because they don't tell you anything how to prepare you for, hey, you're about to be released into the world and you're a brand new person. It's like, oh, okay. And then I woke up on the first day of my retirement, and I got up and I shaved, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't have to go to PT. And I looked over at my wife, and I was like, hey, who do I report to? She's like, what are you talking about? I was like, what about accountability?
Wow.
Because you count to me. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. So, so that is pretty much like some of the hardship. And I will tell you that a lot of the thoughts and feelings, they subside. I guess they reduce, but they don't end, because sometimes they start to come back to the surface and they sneak up on you. I mean, I will be honest, almost 2 years ago, I went out hunting one day, and I was having a real bad 2 weeks. I was like, what did I just think about? I'm sitting out here in the middle of the woods with my weapon, hunting, something that I love doing, and I really contemplated everything that I was about to do. And I went home, and for the first time in my life, I told my wife, I was like, I need to go talk to somebody again. And she's like, why? And she saw it on my face. I was like, I almost tried to kill myself. She's like, what? I was like, yeah. I was like, I really thought about killing myself today. And I was like, all right. So I will. Sorry.
Yeah,
take your time. This is.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kimberly.
No, I just in here.
I was going to say that this is
Go ahead.
Did I lose you guys?
No.
I was just going to say thank you so much for sharing this story, and I mean, the word that keeps coming to my mind is courage. And I know that the extremes that you experienced from your story, I can see sort of like, you know, you were all in, and like you said, you left one whole world, you know, and then you were sucked out of that one, and you had to figure out how to maneuver and manage your life, and back at home, and then again and again and again. But then when you retired, it was a whole, you know, when things slowed down is basically what I'm trying to say. Then all of the inside, everything that you had been suppressing kind of came up, and you had no outlet. You had nothing to do with, nowhere to, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, and outlet was like the perfect word. Like, two things, well, actually three things really helped me. Technically four. First one, obviously, you know, my wife, love her to death. She has been the one person, like the past few years, has been like, you need to go talk to somebody. And that's one of the biggest things. It's like, it doesn't matter who it is, go talk to someone. Like,
right.
Even if it might be another veteran who's having a hard, you know, who knows all about this stuff, or just a random person. Like, I mean, one time I actually called my dad, and I was like, I'm telling my dad this stuff. Like, what must he think about me? And then, you know, a couple of years later, he's like, I'm proud of you. I was like, well, first of all, cool. I've never heard that my dad say that before. It's pretty awesome.
Wow.
My third thing would be, is a lot of people don't know this, is I have a service dog, and I have to thank one particular person. And he was an old soldier of mine. His name is Michael Brown, and this kid's story was amazing too. And real quick, so like when I first met him, he only had one leg. I was like, dude, what happened? Like, you know, obviously you got blown up or shot. He goes, yeah, my 33rd day in Iraq, first deployment, I got blown up. I was like, what? It's like,
wow.
Are you kidding me? That's crazy. So he had his service dog, and he's like, you should talk to your doc about you getting a service dog. I was like, all right, cool. And helped my, like, opened up so many things in my life. And then the last thing, which brings me to how I came to be a personal chef, is not knowing what to do, not having that outlet when I got out. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with my life. And no offense to anybody that's listening to me, man, I was an infantryman. I was a military police guy, 6 combat deployments. I did not want to be a cop. I did not want to be a firefighter. I did not want to be a paramedic. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. So the wife's like, you know, you're always cooking. No other therapies have like helped you. Why don't you think about going to culinary school? I was like, no, not doing that. I know how hard that life is. So one Saturday, she's somewhere. I don't remember what she was doing. And then Avery, service dog, and I go to our local culinary school, and I signed up right on the spot. And never looked back. Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yes, I'm talking about you, Mr. Avery, the service dog. He's like, oh, here we go. It's on the move.
Kimberly, you had something you were getting ready to say. I know it was going to be a good thought.
Well, I'm just, you know, sitting here listening, and, you know, as well as I know you, there's so many things I did not know. And to hear this story, I almost was at a loss of words, because it breaks my heart to a certain degree, but I'm so thankful you're here to be able to share your story and talk about it. And I think the biggest problem with anybody, you know, we all are veterans, and all of our experiences were different with the amount of years we've all put in. And when I realized that when we come out, nobody truly knows what to do with us. That's still an issue today. And like you're saying, nobody prepares you for that, you know. And then there are some people you know, when I think about the community where I came from, after coming out of the military, coming from Iowa, you know, it was like, okay, so what, big deal, you were in the military. You know, during the time that I was in, it was not that significant. You know, something always had to happen in order for people to recognize or to even understand that you may have been traumatized.
Right.
And
you know,
you know, that's the thing too. It's like, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head. Is that something always has to happen. And I don't, to me, it's like, whatever happened to like basic common courtesy to say, how are you doing?
Yep.
how's it going?
Right.
Good morning. Yep. Good afternoon. And like that to me like sets the tone for everything that everyone does. As long as, people are, nice. I mean, I know it's a 4-letter word. It's just like, it's nice. Be nice. Mm-hmm. Be a nice person. Yeah. And I think that's the hardest thing. Like, and I got it. I mean, like, there's a lot of things, like when Avery, the service dog, and I first started going around, I was one of those people like, there is still nothing wrong with me. I do not need the service dog. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. And then like every day that progressed, like when I had him, it was just like, oh, okay. But my thing behind me was like, people are looking at me. And then I started to like have that moment where it's like, well, you see people in wheelchairs and crutches and stuff all the time. Okay, whatever. Mm-hmm. Now it's like, now you see people like, oh my God, a service dog. Like, really? We've been at this for like almost past 10 years now. Like, there's a lot of us around. Yeah. So, but going back to it, I think that people just ask someone. Like, even if I would challenge it. Like, I would challenge to the people who are like listening. Even if you find that one grumpy person in your office, just walk up to them. Mm-hmm. You be as nice as possible, because it might be that one day where it's like, man, I needed that.
Yes.
Right.
I do think our community really needs to take a lot more responsibility in that area, and to remember that you don't know what someone else is going through, and to always show that kind of kindness and compassion, and just ask someone how their day is. Just smile at them and say, hi, how are you? But not just in a passing way. But I also just want to say that, the fact that you took the steps to go and talk to someone, because, Chris, that is huge. Not only just because you're a man and because you are a service member and you served your country and you're in the Army and you're like tough, and, that we, in our culture, men have, succumb, unfortunately, to that whole narrative that asking for help is like a sign of weakness.
Right.
And if you were leading a platoon, how can you now need help? When you're helping everyone else. So that's
my old Joe said that he, like, when I told him a lot of what I just told you to, he was like, what? I was like, dude, nobody's bulletproof. Skin tissue's not bulletproof.
Right.
Armor might be bulletproof, but eventually it will like break. And I broke.
Right.
And I.
It's called being human. It's called
being human. It, absolutely.
It is.
Right.
It is a human condition.
Right. And the problem is with the world we live in is that we're not supposed to be human. Where if you show, like you said, if you show any feelings, you're weak, or you got issues. We see this in our society so much more today. Yeah. It's just so more prevalent. I don't even remember as a kid seeing nearly any of these things, and even as a young adult. And it's like, seems like these last 10 years, it's so much more prevalent. I mean, listen to the stories we're hearing today. Yeah. Every single day there are people out here so stressed out, so much going on in the world, that at the end of the day, their thought process is, you know what, I'm not going to talk about this. I'm just going to go out here and destroy what's in front of me. This is the world we live in, because of the lack of communication, the lack of fear of what people are going to think or say,
or consideration towards another person.
Exactly.
And it's like, I got it. People have to go to work every day. People have to have a job, unless you're lucky and won the lotto. But at the same time, it's like those 8 hours is just for there. Right. If you're taking that stuff home and you're like living with that's no. Like, you can have 8 hours of my life. Cool, great, wonderful. I'm not in the Army anymore. Like, the Army, basically, what it said, when I raised my right hand, said, hey, I do solemnly swear to uphold, protect, and defend. That's what I was there to do. Now it's like, you get 8 hours.
Right. And guess what? And I do solemnly swear to protect myself at home and do what I want to do after that 8 hours. Okay.
Yeah. That's the because anything past those 8 hours is, anything past those 8 hours is, that's dedicated towards my family, towards what I want to do. if I want to go out and have my outlets of hunting and fishing, or, new one is forging a knife. That's a different story. That's just those sort of things, because I want to be able to, I gave up a lot of things for 20 years, and now I'm slowly starting to get them back. And I will tell you another thing that has really helped is, I was talking to a doctor, after the last incident a couple of years ago, and he looked at me, and he was used to be in the Marine Corps, and he used to be a cop too. And we were very candid with each other. He goes, "You're an idiot." I was like, "All right, cool. I mean, I appreciate that." And and he's like, what is the one thing that we used to do all the time? I was like, "This is a trick question." I was like, I know this is a trick question.
Mm-hmm.
Because every day we did this. No matter what, if you're the Army and the Marine Corps, maybe the Navy does, we don't really know. At least the Army and the Marine Corps, we know they do it, and maybe some of the Air
Don't
Force.
talk about me. Do not talk about the Navy people, okay? We will be fighting at the end of this show.
He goes, "We used to do PT." I was like, okay, and for some of the listeners who don't know, PT is physical training. We usually, get up 06:30, we're in formation, we face the flag, we give a salute, and we start doing push-ups to the 2-mile run, whatever you want to do. And I was like, okay. He goes, "Do you know that's the most social interaction you have during the day with 160 people?" I was like, what? I was like, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. I was like, that is like an epic thought. He's like, "When was the last time you worked out with a group of people?" I was like, "I work out at home with my wife." He literally goes, he said, "That's not a group of people. You have no social interaction with your wife.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife is someone that you go home and confide into, rather than going and having fun and engaging with." I was like, oh my God, that resonated. I was like, oh, okay. So I got to go find a group of people to hang out with and work out. And that makes me feel good all the time now too. It's like, all right, cool. So I think going back to having the outlet, being considerate and being nice. Those are the biggest things for people.
Right. And
that they need to realize.
Mm-hmm. You're right. Just want to say real quick. No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, you go ahead. No, go ahead. I know I keep rambling.
I was sitting here thinking about when you were talking about having an outlet, and I was sitting here thinking about, and actually I've been thinking about this a lot these last several months, how, the world we live in, like I said, we're always in a society, we're always constantly busy. Like you said, we do, we spend more of our time at work, and then we come home. Sometimes you have to learn how to let go of that. But I sat back and I thought about, I don't even know some days what it feels like to be normal. What does normalcy really feel like? And, I'm starting to take those steps as you know what? The word no has been very popular for me the last year or so, but real popular here probably the last 3 months or so. My life is I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go here. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do that. I want to feel normal. It's because I'm constantly, we're constantly thinking about, what do we have to do next? How do you secure your life? What are you going to prepare for this? And it's great to have these thoughts and wonderful to be prepared in life and to have all these outlets. But at the end of the day, just sitting still is probably the most peaceful and the best outlet I could ever even accomplish. It's just doing anything.
Kim, you've been to my house to do a cooking show and then just to have dinner. And you've seen my backyard. That's I can go back there, and then granted, my outlet, my just peace of mind is I get to go out and mow my grass. I get to go out and garden. I get to harvest fun. Those sorts of things. Those to me is more. That type of stuff to me is more important than oh, I gotta wait for a phone call, or I gotta check this.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this is starting to kill me. Now, mind you, don't get me wrong. My clients are important to me, because when I do dinner parties, it's it's like an operation. You would ask people who have worked for me and my wife, they're like, why are we doing this like this? This and this has worked for 275 years. So we're doing it this way. And it works every time. I don't know why.
Right.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
know what I'm talking about.
Right.
Okay. I think I'm done rambling.
No, I mean, and it's not, this is actually a great conversation. Like we said, for those who are out there listening, I know there's somebody out there listening right now saying, I want to ask a question. I want to call in. I want to say something. This is the safe zone. This is unscripted. You can call in. You can ask those questions. If you feel like there's something you just want to get off your chest, or you just want to say hello to the guest or say hi to us, now is the time. The problem with the world we live in is the silence. Those who are sitting around being silent are the ones that come out one day and we don't even know who they are, because everybody has such a fear about worrying about what the hell everybody else thinks or says. You have to get away from that. Stop conforming. Get yourself out here and tell your story. Everybody has a story, and you never know who you're going to connect with. And I think that's the key.
And everybody's story is worth telling, and it's worth hearing and sharing.
Absolutely. Yeah, because we learn from that. And when also you realize that you're not alone, because we all believe that we're alone, and we're not. When we're going through things, I've been through, even though I've been through the military, even coming out of the military, I've been through hell and back. When I was in a domestic abuse relationship, every day I had to look over my shoulder and wonder when was going to be my last day. Go ahead.
Yeah, that is the same thing with people who have the thought of ending their life. Is that if you don't go talk to someone, or even just swallow your pride and I need help. You're going to look over your shoulder one day, and it's going to be the left one. That little red dude's going to be do it, man. Go for it.
Yes.
It's why would you want to give that person the satisfaction?
Yep.
Don't give anyone the satisfaction of ending your life, because it doesn't help. It only hurts other people.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the key. Every part of drama that we've all been through, it connects to everybody you're around. Your family, your friends, your acquaintances, the people you work with. You don't realize it until it hits you in the face. And just one quick example, as I was talking about being in a domestic abuse relationship, when I had the first incident where he hit me, I'm in the hospital all through the weekend, trying to get through. I'm angry. I'm pissed. I went through so much. But then I get up that Monday. This is a true story. I went on the base. Now I work at Fort Belvoir as well. I went into the base. I went into my job as if nothing ever happened. But the look on everybody's face, you could see I had been battered and beaten. But I act as if...
And they knew.
And they knew. But in my mind, I'm not telling anybody my secrets. Nobody's going to know what's going on in my world. I'm going to pretend like this is all normal. And if it hadn't have been for one of my best friends, till this day, we're very good friends, he pulled me aside in my own office and says to me, I need for you to tell me what happened. You need to talk to me. That second and that moment changed my life forever. Just because I finally felt I could bring the wall down. Didn't have to worry about the fear of what was he going to say? What was he thinking? He didn't care about all that other stuff. All he cared about was my well-being. See that, and that's the world that we need to have surrounded by us, because we all have gone through some type of drama. Maybe not as dramatic as what you have gone through, Chris, or what I've gone through. Natalie, I know you've gone through some things, but at the end of the day, we all go through things. But it's how you communicate, how you speak up, how you realize that there are some very decent people in this world, and who do care.
Yeah, and I think, like you said earlier, it's it's about I don't even think it's about what we have had happen to us anymore. It's it's a day to day. It's where people just they happen to look over their shoulder, is today the day I need to do this so I can have some peace? It's no, don't get into the satisfaction of just looking to your left, looking at that little red dude, and we're gonna do this today.
Right.
There is nothing worth it in the world. I will tell you, I'll go to jail for my wife. Somebody ever tries to hurt my wife or anybody, any of my friends, I'll go to jail. I don't care. Orange, black, whatever. Hey, cool, great, wonderful. I got you. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, like, I am past the point in my life, and I know and I recognize the signs and symptoms, I guess, if you will. It's like, I don't want to, like, be a statistic. Yes. I don't want to be one of the 22 because we should be past that by now, but we're not.
Right.
And I think it comes back to, like, exactly what we all said. How are you doing? Are you okay? Do you need somebody to talk to? Or just take he or she and just like, let's go outside. Let's have a cigarette. Let's go get a glass of wine. Let's go grab a beer or something. Like, just talk about day to day. I just think we have lost that in our society.
Right. Yeah. It's literally going away every single day. You know, there's no rudeness because you have people saying it's okay to be rude. I mean, it's almost like we're going back in time. You know, some of the things that I remember growing up and seeing, I never thought I would see again or that we would be fighting over again. And, you know, just like you said, the everyday simplicity of life is literally going down the drain because you got a handful of idiots running around here telling you, oh, it's okay. If you want to go knock them upside the head, go knock them upside the head. You'll be all right. You know, I mean, it's just.
It's going to be, it's going to be like what I would like to call like you're tough on Facebook. Cool.
Right.
That's pretty awesome, bro. I mean, your IG account is like maxed out, but I bet you have 0 real friends.
Right.
Well, get some real friends, man. You know?
Right. Yeah. It's a tough world out here, but at the end of the day, kindness is what matters. Kindness is what lasts, and then it goes from kindness to love. And you know, people use that word very frivolously, don't really even understand what LOVE really stands for. Look in your heart. Look in the mirror. Who are you?
And yeah, exactly. And I think, like, for me, I'm sorry, Avery, the service dog's on the move, so
it's okay. Avery's a part of the show too, so let him talk too, okay?
Yeah, when he starts giggling and stuff with his collar. But no, I think, like, for me, when like, people have asked me, like, why did you want to do this, like, become a personal chef? I was like, 2 reasons. Actually 3. 1 is for a way to continue some service. 2 is to, you know, have an outlet and not think about all those things that I, you know, used to think about. And 3, exactly what you said, like, to show, like, love. Because no matter what, I hate to tell you, if you want love, bring everybody around a dinner table, because that's where you're going to see it every day.
You're right. You are absolutely right. And, you know, that was the thing in our family is that, you know, you every weekend or every night sitting around the table and having conversation. And I did that with my son growing up. And even when we're around each other today, that's the most important time is just to sit down and talk. How was your day? You know, obviously we're not in the same household anymore, but to be able just to pick up the phone or send a text and say, you know, tell me how your day went. You know, what's really going on? Because, you know, when you have that connection with the people that you love and you know when something isn't right. So, you know, one thing you can't do is BS me if I know you, you know, and it's like you have to take the time, no matter how busy you are, to just sit there and listen. Just be, you know, an open ear. You don't have to worry about anything else. Just listen. You may not have the answer today, but all they care about is to have that in that few minutes to just sit there and let them tell their story. No, don't have to respond, but just let them. Sometimes you just got to let it go. And I want to tell you, Natalie told me to tell you just real quickly. Natalie said goodbye to everybody. She had to go. She didn't want to leave, but she had some things she had to take care of. So we're going to keep chatting it up for about another 10, 15 minutes before we end the show. But, you know, Chris, like Natalie said earlier, so proud of you. Could not be. I feel like a proud mama right now. And your wife knows I'm a mama bear. She knows that. Because she know I'm on her all the time. She's like, girl, you better go sit down somewhere. So.
She's probably upstairs laughing right now.
I know she is. But, you know, it's important. I mean, I guess the one thing that I'm thinking right now is that I'm just so excited that you pulled me aside and said, I want to have this conversation. It's important. And then, you know, when you were telling the story about your friend and the call that you got, you know, out of nowhere, I think that was a shocker for me. But I was like, you know, this is always a scary topic to have and to discuss, but it's a necessary topic. And like I said, I know there's somebody else out there. I know you may be scared. You don't want to call in. You don't want to talk. I'm okay with that. But if you do need to talk, reach out. Reach out to somebody that you're connected with. That's the key to this conversation. And this is the reason why Chris wanted to have this conversation, is because people do not reach out enough. They don't talk to each other enough. You know, I think the sad part about our society today too is that, you know, when people feel like they're being criticized, instead of talking anymore, they want to fight you. They want to kill you. What has happened to taking constructive criticism? And it doesn't have to be criticism, but just to learn and to listen. Open your heart. Open your ears.
You know, yeah. It's actually funny because, like, I'm amazed how some young people don't understand. Like, it's not me picking on you. I'm trying to teach you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, learn from people, the older people. You know, and for God's sake, put your phone down, because the phone is not going to teach you how to do things in the real world. Like, they are just showing you one minute aspect of something, you know. And I think things like I had to learn, like going from being an infantryman and an MP to now being a personal chef. It's like, oh, those cuts and bruises and those burns, God taught me something. You know, don't remember to grab a sheet tray coming out of a 425 degree oven. Don't, you know, make sure you had a towel. You know, use a dry towel versus a wet towel, or, you know, things like that. And those were the same things that I had to when growing up in the Army. Like, I learned those things the hard way. But somebody was there to be like, I'm going to show you how to do this.
Right.
And that's back then we were like, you know, yeah. I mean, even when, like, I don't remember what we're talking about. Somebody said something the other day, and I thought it was the funniest thing. What was a meme? It was the funniest meme. It was like, oh, you can't threaten me. I used to hold the flashlight from my dad. I was like, yes. Yes. I was like, oh, man, you yelled at me. You're not holding the flashlight right. It's on my phone. No, man. No.
Oh my gosh. You know, I just think that today's world, we need more meaningful conversations. We need more meaningful time with ourselves. I think I had made a really cool post the other day, and I was talking about, you know, people think, you know, they use Wednesday as Wellness Wednesday. And I was like, you know, the problem is, it's like, you know, hey, learn as much as you love on somebody else, learn to love on yourself. Take the time to love yourself more, because when you know who you are and you know that you're in love with yourself and you love what you do and you love life, you don't have time for all this other nonsense and all this other drama. That drama is drainage. Take that crap down the drain. Let it go. Stop holding on to things that you can't fix. Let it go.
It's like lately, like going to the local CrossFit gym here where we live. Like I've been like getting back, like really good getting back into it, like hitting like certain personal records. And I was the other day at one of the trainers, we were doing a movement, and she walked up and she goes, so you thinking about putting the extra 5s on there? I was like, fine. You know, and I was just like, oh, I'm so tired. And then I hit it, and like I had that moment where, like, you take your weight belt off, you throw it on the floor, you kind of like strut around, but then you like look around like nobody saw it. You're like, dang it! Like, that was awesome for me.
Exactly.
And then Avery, the service dog's like, please stop that. You're embarrassing me.
But, you know, you have to have those moments, right? You know, because if you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
right.
You have to give yourself a pat on the back, you know, and be like, you did a great job, man, you know. And then, but I think so many people are just afraid to give themselves, like, credit for certain things. I mean, I got it. I do it too, where it's like, no, I didn't do anything really good. I didn't do this dinner party really well, blah, 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 blah. And then I know, like, whenever that happens, I get a really good dinner party, like, you're not going to have you back. We can schedule you. I was like, oh, I did really good. All right, cool.
But see, I think, and that's
wait, I'll throw it in the kitchen.
Right.
Like we're about to have like a rock moment. Here we go. So, all right.
But it's funny because I think the biggest problem that a lot of us have, and we all have gone through this, and we still do every day. We have to sit back and think about the fact that we're so concerned about having that appreciation from everybody else and that acceptance. You would not have been there as the chef and do the job if you were not good at what you do, right? But sometimes we're so worried about what are they going to think? Are they ever going to call me back? Or, oh my God, I didn't do this right. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You did what you did. You did good at it. The food that was obviously eaten. And even if it wasn't, the bottom line is you did your best. You had enough courage to step forward to do what you were doing. You gave them what you promised, and you got paid for the service that you provided, period. But I think a lot of times we're so worried about how many people are going to appreciate what we're doing, or we have to be accepting to everything. You have to learn to, like I said, love and accept yourself for who you are and value who you are. When we start to understand our value and we know that we love ourselves, it makes it so much easier to do our jobs and to do it right. Whether you're working at 9 to 5, 8 to 5, or whatever you want to call it, whether you have your own business, even if you're not working, you're a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home father, whatever the case may be, you have a role and a responsibility, and it's nobody else's responsibility, to be honest. We all know this. It's nobody else's responsibility to make you happy, to keep you happy. Part of that is your responsibility. That's your role in life. If you are so miserable with yourself, you absolutely need to double check yourself in the mirror, take a double check and say, you know what? Something isn't right here, because we didn't come in this world unhappy, and you shouldn't leave this world unhappy. But it's a part of a process that you have to go through with yourself. And like I said, I'm so thankful that you took the time to realize something isn't right here, but I know I need to be here. How am I going to make this work? And even though it's a continual struggle to some degree, you have your moments. We all have our moments. We have our triggers. There's certain things that put us back into those moments. But at the end of the day, you realize and you know your worth. You know your value. You know you have to be here and you want to be here. That is number one priority. You want to be here. And you know you have a woman and a family who loves you more than you could possibly adore and have in your life, is having somebody who cares about you. And I know her, and I know the love that she has for you and what you guys have for each other.
I think she just likes me for my cooking skills.
Well, that's part of it too.
No,
I'm jealous. Okay, I need a man who can cook. Y'all need to come stand in line and learn how to cook, and I need to find one. Okay, so, we can't have personal chefs. But I'm glad she shares.
She has been a saving grace. And yeah, not everything's like picture perfect, but nothing should be, because that's where you learn from things. We're going back to this learning the hard way type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, I think like you said, I learned all those triggers. It took time to. I would say, I think the real journey started 2011.
Mm-hmm.
And then the aha moment was finally around 2017.
Mm-hmm.
It's now I know. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just took a little stubbornness to learn.
Well, time is of the essence, and we all feel like we have time, and we do, but never take too much time to live life, and that's the key.
Yeah.
And you know the problems, you knew the issues, you knew what you needed to deal with, and now you have the opportunities to continue to live life to the fullest. Because at the end of the day, we don't know how long we're going to be here, and that's one thing we all understand in this world, in this life. You're here now, but we're all going to end up having to leave sometime. We don't know when. So when you start to appreciate life a little better and really truly have those understandings, then you look at things differently. And that's why, we were talking about outlets earlier. And, and I look at my life and I think about the outlets, the things that I want to do, how I want to continue to slow down, but enjoy life and look at it as the normal. the normalcy that I haven't seen in years. I'm trying to build into my life because that's what's important now. All the other things that I thought were important, as you can start to grow and get a little older in life, you realize every day, you know what, that ain't important no more. I'm gonna go over here and do this instead. And you're already there. Absolutely. And you understand what is most important, and that's the way you want to continue to live your life. You deserve that. You've done everything. Absolutely. That you've done more than the average person has ever attempted to even think about doing. So like you said, pat yourself on the back. Now pat yourself on the back and continue to move forward with your dreams, your goals, whatever it is that you want to do that makes you happy. That is the key. This is what it's all about. Well, all right, Chris, we are at exactly 8:01. And before you go, though, I need for you to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you. Tell us a little bit more about the business side. Because, look, y'all need to hurry up and get some of this man's food, okay? I'm telling you, it's worth every penny, worth every mouthful. And I'm due and ready for another meal, so we're going to have to make this happen, okay?
Anytime. So, actually, you know what? I don't even think I ever said it. So the name of my business is actually called Chris's Dishes. We are a combat disabled, veteran-owned, operated, and family-supported business. We do private dinners, if you will, in people's homes. We also do them in and around vacation rentals. Basically, what we do is you reach out to us, and we go with a client questionnaire, and we review the client questionnaire. And then what we do is we give you a call, and we start to talk about menu development, how your evening's going to go. We do wine pairings. And we try to do a lot of sourcing from the state of Virginia because that's where we're at. What we're getting ready to do is we're getting ready to launch a video series called The Taste of Virginia, where we're going to do everything from start to finish, what it takes to go out there and find things that a lot of people don't know about the state of Virginia and where they can get things. And we're not just talking about food. We're talking about the people who grow it, the people who harvest it, or even the people that make like the plates for it, or the cups for it, or make the knives for it. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty of people in Virginia that make a night for Chris's Dishes. And we're going to make that into a video series. If you guys want to reach out, there's few ways you can do it. You can check us out online at chrisdishes.com or on Instagram, chrisdishes68. On Instagram and then on Facebook as well.
All right. And we will definitely have this information. I will make sure it's in the show notes after the show. And then, of course, if you've been following me, you should be able to already get a lot of this information on all the social media platforms. The information is already out there. But again, we will have this on the show notes. And, again, Chris, I want to thank you so much for spending your evening with me. Now you can go back to your loved ones, and you can go back to Avery and your sweetie pie back there. Tell her I said hello. But no, seriously, I appreciate you coming on. And again, I really hope that everybody's learned something this evening and understand that the power of speaking up is so important. Silence, as my friend said, is beyond and is very dangerous. Stop being silent. Speak up. You need help. There's more than enough help out here, but we don't know unless you speak up. And if you want to talk to Chris specifically about your journey, what you're going through, he understands. Reach out to him. He'll answer you on your Instagram page, on his Facebook page. And if he wants to give his personal number, he'll reach out. He'll give you that when you reach out to him. But please, do something. Don't sit back and just blame the world. Do something.
Yeah, I would echo exactly what Kimberly and Natalie have been saying. Like, please talk to somebody. And if you just need a perfect stranger to talk to, I'm the perfect stranger. Okay. I will wholeheartedly just talk to you. Kimberly, thank you. And let Natalie know I said thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it. And I look forward to y'all coming over to the house and we can down some chow and maybe do this again another time.
Absolutely. Anytime you want to talk, you want to get on, you want to invite some guests, and you want to have another conversation, please reach out to me. You know where to find me. You easily know where to find me, so we can definitely do this again. But again, I thank you for coming on tonight. And of course, with everybody else, I'm just going to quickly end the show here. But before I end the show, I always have to give my little spill. I just want to make sure again that everybody understands that, this show is about unveiling the things you want to talk about. Like I said, it's the safe zone. Please reach out to us. You want to be a guest on the show, you can be anonymous. You don't have to tell us. We don't have to tell everybody who you are. Some people don't mind, telling them their names and giving more of a background. But if you want to be a guest on the show, reach out to both me and Natalie. We'll have this information available, but you can email us, and mine is at kimberlywsbillc at gmail.com. And you can reach out to Natalie at dvinyobymontez at gmail.com. And of course, if you want more of your resource for success and Unveiled podcast shows, monetary donations to support the podcast are now accepted on Cash App, PayPal, Good Pods Tip Jar, or go to the website at www.wsbillc.com. And of course, to learn more on how to better leverage your business, ADP has identified 5 primary challenges: hiring, financing, access to grow resources, employee experience, and access to payroll and HR tools. Educating yourself on what's best for your business is free, people. Contact our ADP rep, Antonia Nuez Samanigo, or you can give her a call at 317-983-8287. Again, I will have this information on the show notes so you don't have to worry about guessing what I just said. But you are more than welcome to reach out to her, and all the information that ADP has, it is free. Free education to learn, to build your business. If you already have a business, they can show you other ways to soar the business. Reach out. If you don't remember this information, reach out to me. I will make sure I can hand that information to you. But again, we would like to thank you all for listening to us tonight. We will be back next week with more amazing guests. Be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcast. But until then, enjoy the rest of your evening and good night.